It's party time, Mom. Welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. It is Tuesday, all day and all night. Tuesday. Nobody ever really gets excited about a Tuesday, but I want you to be excited about what we're going to do here in Studio 20 Tuesday. How about that? You see what I did?
Hey, you did.
See what I did right
It's supposed
there?
to be Taco Tuesday. Everybody gets excited about Taco Tuesday.
I can't tell you the last time I had a taco on Tuesday.
Me either.
Puppet Master Mark, the perfectionist, is driving us into the nether regions of all things Tuesday. And, of course, Candice, the queen of the Ethiopians. You just shine like a beacon of hope and light. But I got to talk to you about some weird ideas you got. We're going to get into some of your weird ideas today.
Why would we
Candice,
do that?
Because they're fascinating.
Thank you.
You come up with the weirdest stuff, and I'm like, that's it. I'll never look at the world the same way ever again.
I have a lot of free time on my hands.
Well, I don't know that that's true, but you do have weird pursuits.
Thank you.
I don't know that that's a thank you statement.
Okay. I'll still take it as a compliment.
Oh, my buddy over here at the Party Foul Pub, we got K-Dub, Kevin Wade's in the house representing. We got Andrew Rose in the house, and of course, Hot News Natalie. Puppet Master, you know what?
It's like a game show.
I know. I know. It is. They're going to be leaving with cash and prizes. Cash and prizes, everybody. A brand new Refrigerator. I don't think that's a brand name.
Nope.
Refrigerator.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Natalie's dressed up like Santa Claus.
From world, well, it is Christmas in August.
I'm a gift giver. I gave my husband a taco this morning.
Wait a minute. There it is. There it is. Oh, Natalie.
Wasn't me. It's something about sitting over there.
It just brings the dirt right out.
It does.
My mom's like, you can just tell Natalie's so sweet.
I am.
And
Thank
she
you,
is,
Mom.
Mom. But she got a problem. She got a problem. She don't mean to be that way. Oh my gosh, we got to get into some things today. I got some weird ideas. Candace has got some weird ideas. I want you to go.
Will argue. She started arguing. And I was really
Don't debate Candice.
I know.
No.
Never debate her. I
No.
promise you. If she says it, she's researched it.
Yeah.
And you're not ready.
No, I'm not. I figured it out real quick.
Just
I wasn't.
simply not ready. I hope everybody enjoyed our ladies' night that we did the other night with Lisa Page and Hot News Natalie and, of course, Sarah Gonzalez. I want to do that regularly, Candace. That was a lot of fun. We need.
It sounds like you just said Steve needs to take a day off so I can have all girls here.
That's exactly the plan right there. I want to do that, though. Fill the bar up with girls and all that, because it was a fun conversation. Lisa Page is a trip. That girl, she's a mess.
I like her.
She is. She makes
Pistol.
coffee nervous. She is a bundle of energy. She really is. KW, you getting close to retirement, bro.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Another week.
You ought to see that house he's building. My Lord, it's good to be. You can't hide money.
Do you have to fly one more time before you retire?
No.
So you're kinda
normally
really
I would,
done.
But yeah, that's all done. We've got 1,807 guys retiring on, and I believe all of those are on September 1st.
Wow.
And so there's not going to be any
So
final
was the
flight,
option-
water cannons, anything.
Was the option for early retirement, was that because of coronavirus? And
Yeah, the whole industry has just taken a massive
Yeah.
hit. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
I know. I've seen my
international captain.
stocks.
There is virtually no international flying,
yeah,
and so I'm excess.
yeah.
Now I could step back and fly domestic or smaller aircraft. That would push guys off the bottom. I don't want to do that. They need it more than I do.
We gotta figure out a way to be flying private. That's what we gotta do.
It can happen.
Dub. I gotta figure out how to do it cheaper than what these people are offering me. I have these people all the time who are like, I fly private. I mean, I have a little share in this deal. It's really no different than flying first class. I'm like, I can't find that deal. I can't find that deal. But anyway.
Well, maybe in K-Dub's retirement, he can go buy a jet, a little one, and flies around.
You seen his car?
Yeah, I know.
That's why he has money. He's been driving that thing since '78.
Yeah.
He is definitely a Republican conservative.
He is a Republican conservative. Hey, listen, 2020 has reminded us about the importance of self-reliance. We've seen COVID. We've seen civil unrest. We've seen all kind of crazy. It's brought out the worst in some people. And the fact is the police can't be everywhere all at once. They just can't. There's a response time and all those things. And a lot of times time is of the essence. That's why it's so important to be properly trained if you're a gun owner. Well, iTarget Pro is one of the best ways to dry fire train with your gun at home. Dry fire training means that you are shooting the gun without the bullet in there. But what you do have is their proprietary app and their laser bullet. It's convenient, safe. It's going to save you a ton of money on ammunition. Plus, you don't need to wear a mask to use it. Dry fire training will develop muscle memory. It'll help you with target reaction, speed, sight alignment, trigger function, and a whole lot more. It's super important that you train this way. iTarget comes in all the major calibers, including .223 and .556. So you get to stay sharp with almost any firearm you got. So right now, you can get 10% off plus free shipping with offer code CHAD. So don't let the circumstances dictate whether or not you're going to train. Take back control with iTarget Pro. That's the letter I, targetpro.com. Use offer code CHAD. Yeah, USA Today had an article that came out yesterday. Says, how can Trump ignore climate crisis with twin hurricane season storms barreling towards us? So there you have it. Those twin hurricanes that are both coming up through the Gulf, Trump's fault.
Yeah. There's nothing out there that's not Trump's fault.
Yeah, climate change is wreaking havoc on people's lives right now. This month alone, not a section of the country has been spared a devastating event. So, I mean, that is weird that there's two hurricanes coming, but, you know,
It's
hurricanes
2020.
come.
Everything's weird this
Yeah,
year.
exactly.
Like, nothing is freaking me out. There's an asteroid headed toward Earth, too. I mean,
yeah,
okay.
but I read that the asteroid's only like 6.5 feet diameter.
So,
I mean,
so let me
regardless.
just slap some facts on everybody. In 1870, there were 10 hurricanes. 1916, there were 10 hurricanes. 1959, there were 11 hurricanes. In 1980, there were 9 hurricanes. In 2017, there were 10 hurricanes. Are you seeing the pattern here?
Mm-hmm.
10's the magic number?
I mean, basically, nothing's changed is the point. Nothing has changed, and that's just a select random. I mean, don't get mad at the math, people. That's the way it goes.
Well, because of climate change, it's not changing.
Should be going down. Should be having less.
Yeah.
This is a weird world we live on, and I don't mean the cultural world. I mean the planet we live on. And it'll shake us off if it wants to.
It has.
It has done it, and it can
probably
do it again.
Dozens and dozens of times in the last 100 billion years or however.
True.
I mean, those people of Pompeii, they weren't sitting around going, you know what? I blame Donald Trump. That volcano, that lava comes down there and just buries them. Well, you know, if Emperor Trump hadn't been in charge. So it's just weird stuff. So Candace she threw a little theory at me. I've never liked the census, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't like being counted. They don't need to know how many bathrooms are in my house. The U.S. government, the federal government doesn't need to know how many people live under my roof.
But that's how your community gets funding, for knowing the population. And
but I get what you're saying. Yeah, but I just don't want them knowing my business. They're already intrusive enough in our lives, right? But I've just never done it, and maybe that's my mother coming out of me. My mom's like, "Well, come arrest me." You know, that's my mom's attitude. I ain't doing it, and so I've sort of had the same attitude my entire adult life. But I look at this thing and I'm like, they want to know how many people are in your house. All right, well, now more than ever, and Candace, you could jump in at any time on this thing. Now more than ever, it's important for the federal government to know how many people are in your house, okay? So if they come and they count and you got 3 people that live in your house, but let's say there's 2 extra cars there at a certain time, well, who the hell's in your house in this age of coronavirus? Who's in your house? And should you be penalized? You know, they are doing that in California where they're cutting off the water and the power and things like that. If you're got too many people in your home or you're having a party and you're not social distancing, they're cutting your power to your house.
Interesting.
What you got, Candace?
So obviously holiday season is approaching. So you have Halloween where you take your kids from door to door to greet your neighbors and strangers, which this year would be categorized as domestic terrorism because you're bringing COVID germs to houses that might not otherwise be subjected to COVID germs. So then you cancel Halloween. You go into the election season and Thanksgiving, and you start to see posters saying the most loving thing you can do this year is stay home for the holidays, right? The most loving thing you can do for your family is stay home, and use the census as a way to police that.
Yeah, so if you get together for a Christmas gathering,
Thanksgiving,
and you got 50 people in the family that get together, Thanksgiving, whatever, now they know how many people are supposed to be in your house. They can come around and they can monitor. They know.
Yeah, but
that's why I keep a lot of automobiles.
As future governor,
that's why I don't have a lot of
future
money.
governor of the state of Texas, so you for census or against it? I mean, because you could hurt valuable programs.
I understand it as a tool, as you brought up, but in terms of a lot of the stuff they want to know, not necessary. Not necessary. You know how many people live in my house. The government knows how many people. I file my taxes.
Yeah.
They know how many people live in my house. They don't need to know how many bathrooms I got. That's not their business. So in that regard, I think it's just foolish. But again, that ain't a state thing.
You
It's
have
a federal
2.5
thing.
baths. 2 downstairs, half bath upstairs.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
if anybody wanted to know.
I don't know who would want to know. And there's no doors on any of them right now.
No, not right now.
Because my house is being painted.
It was a little awkward the other day.
Yeah, especially
sorry.
when you leaned out and were like, hey, can you bring me some chicken?
Yeah. It's a little awkward.
So I understand it as a tool, but it just the intrusive nature of it. And Candace, I think you're onto something with that. Because, let's face it, they don't want us at the polling. They don't want us in the voting booth. This is weird to me. And understand something, folks. Mail-in ballots are different from absentee ballots. Very different. I love what Rand Paul said the other day. He said, if you're going to give money to the post office, you might as well take it, put it in a pile in the front yard, and set it on fire.
Well, they did just get a bunch of money.
They did. Trump tried to bail out the post office with a $10 billion
The CARES
funding thing. You want to know the problem with the post office, you got to go all the way back to 2006 and George W. Bush, and then Obama made it even worse on top of that because they were funding their mediocrity. And I've said this before. That is not a revenue stream for the government. It is a service. The Postal Service is a service, not a revenue stream. It's not a moneymaker. So for them to continue throwing money at this thing, as bad as it is, and by the way, if you've ordered shirts from us, watchchad.com is where all the fun stuff is. If you've done that, I'll get in trouble, I know. I could take it. Here's the thing. They're routing that stuff all over the country now.
We mailed one a couple of weeks ago to Longview, Texas. It went through Pennsylvania first.
We had
2
one
hours
that's
from
gone
here.
to Alaska to come back to Pennsylvania. One of them, it was some kind of international thing. People are like, hey, I just want to check on my order. Call the post office.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you trust the post office for mail-in voting, I want you to take every dime that's in your bank account, every dime, write a check,
Not a chance.
and send it to me, and I will send the equal amount back to you in cash. So if you got $100,000, write me a check. I'll get $100,000 cash, and I'll send it back to you. And I'm sure you trust it to come back to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you trust it to come back. Hell no. I sent you a check. You don't mail cash. Why? Because you can't trust the post service.
We went to the post office and to try to, find out what some of the problems were. And she explained to us, well, because of COVID, they're in the U.S. mail uses airplanes and there's not flying as much. So it makes it more difficult to route the mail and stuff. So, K-Dub, why are you not? And you're retiring on top of that.
Yeah.
But
Thanks for
believe it
leaving
or
us
not,
hanging, Dub.
Actually, we were carrying the mail. That's the last couple of flights I've done. That's what we've had. mail. They normally put the mail on commercial flights. There are so few that now they have specialty flights.
Yeah.
And so the last couple flights I've done
That's
have been
interesting.
carrying mail.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we've never had an issue with going to the voting booth, right? It's never been an issue. Why now? Why now? Why is this coronavirus thing you can't, like, if I'm sitting at the table of a restaurant, I can't get it. But if I get up to take a piss, I got to put a mask on or I'm going to get it. I
Right.
can't walk across the restaurant because suddenly it knows that I'm standing up now and it's going to jump on me.
It will.
Yeah. And my little bandana is supposed to protect all of that. And you're right. Dub said it. It might block some spit, but I'm not walking around worrying about who's
I
spitting.
mean, we're replacing manners with mask. I mean, we
Look-
grew up, cover your mouth when you sneeze. If you
Who
do
is
this,
this
you just
guy?
clean up, throw it away. But we have replaced manners
is this
with masks.
dude?
No.
What?
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
good.
That's good.
I like
well,
it.
thank you.
A
I
little
wasn't even trying.
profundity.
Wasn't even trying. This comes natural.
T-shirt on the way.
Fell out of my face.
Fell out of my
Right.
face.
It
Yeah.
fell out of my face, and there wasn't a mask to stop it.
Steve is one of the few that seems to have remembered his lessons from kindergarten.
I know, right? We've
job.
replaced manners with masks. I don't like it because you can't. You've talked about it. You're trying to sell merch or whatever at the shows, and you don't hear that well, and people are trying to, and you read lips. I mean, it's a true thing. And so you can't hear. I don't know if somebody's smiling at me, cussing me. I don't know what's going on.
There's so many times the other night I just nodded, say yes, and I have
Right.
no idea what they said.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah.
Do you have herpes? Yes.
Our bartender friend there in Burleson, Kenny, he's Irish, and he came over to the table and was talking to us Sunday at brunch. And I'm like, you got to take that mask off. I can't understand a darn word you're saying, dude, because you're not speaking English anyway. So I don't. The Irish and the Scottish, I can
need to get up there and
That's
visit
the
him.
English I can't understand.
I hadn't seen him in a while, so I need to go up
Yeah,
there.
he asked about you.
Well, good deal.
But no, that's the thing, man. They're trying to keep us out. They don't want you going to the polling place. They don't want you going to the voters' booth. They don't want you to. And so Candace made up a good point. She said they're basically going to. The potential is there to ban it, and just you can't go.
I
to the
think that, and I'm not necessarily against that. Now, I'm not for the U.S. Postal Service taking charge of how we do our thing, but in this day and age, and I understand that computers and stuff can be hacked and stuff like that, but there's too many ways that they could do it where you could vote on an app. Now, you would have to be registered.
Yeah,
there would have
but-
to be multi deal.
Yeah.
That would get voter up because we don't have enough people voting anyway. There's only a small percentage of the country that
Well, it's
votes.
like I tweeted the other day. I said, breaking news: Meghan McCain has decided to vote for Joe Biden, and ironically, so has John McCain. It's so that's the thing. We saw in Iowa, the app broke.
Yeah.
It didn't work. It totally screwed up that election. I mean, if somebody's sitting there, they can't even read a dimpled Chad, so to speak, back in what was that, 2000?
2000.
Yeah.
And they're looking at dangling Chads and hanging Chads and dimpled Chads and bubbled Chads and all this kind of stuff.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to revert to China to build an app that we can use because they got
that'll
TikTok
work.
down. I mean, that works.
Yeah.
Works
It
for
does work.
everybody.
But we know there was Russian meddling in the last election. We know that. And there was in all
I was
going to
say there's never been an election that hadn't
We
been some type
meddle in
of.
their elections.
That was what I was going to say. The U.S. is involved in every country's election in one way
We're
or the
at
other.
war with all. These are geopolitical foes. So, of course, we're involved in that. But it is too easy to hack. It is too easy to break. It is too easy to not be able to count the whole thing. I mean, it just frustrates me that you can't go to a polling place, show your ID, and vote.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm 100% ID
Do
for
you know
voting.
how many people during these primaries? Do you know how many people who are independent voters? They vote independent. They couldn't vote because you had to either go in and vote Republican or Democrat. They didn't have the option. What you got, Dub? Same deal?
Yeah, that's kind of the old school. Show up with your ID. China's trying to hack past that. I don't know if you heard the up in Chicago, the immigration. Somebody intercepted 20,000 fake IDs shipped in from China. Fake driver's
There's
licenses.
you can go online and order a fake ID, and I'm sure that's where it comes from.
Yeah. But the barcodes even work on them.
So let me tell you how bad. So I finally, and I've told this story before, I had to get a new passport. Just came in, took 6 months. 6 months for my passport.
Did you get that done at the post office?
Dude, I paid FedEx for a rush job because I knew the way it was going to be. So I paid FedEx extra for their service to do that. It took 6 months for my passport to come back to me. Now get this. Well, let me count the months. March, April, May, June, July, August. 6 months. And my last passport had me as a female.
Yes.
It also had me as being born in New Mexico. God forbid. God bless you, but no. And that's the deal.
But they never stopped us going.
They never stopped me anywhere, and I travel as much as I do internationally. Everything. They've never said,
"Ma'am."
These days, though, I mean,
how you identify.
You get offended. You could just throw a
These
fit.
days you get to do that.
But I mean, that's the federal government for you. I was born in New Jersey. I'm obviously a virile man. I am a man. But it's man. But that's the crazy thing that's out there. You trust the government for stuff like that, that's what you're going to get. We'll be right back. So I don't want to go. You're retiring, so we can talk about it, can't we?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, because you've kind of kept your career stuff as you work for a company, a major company.
Yeah, we can say the name. It's not a problem. I'm on the way out. So it's Delta. Yeah.
Delta. You've been an international captain, Delta. Did y'all have to go through a lot of different training and stuff like that with this coronavirus? Was there a lot? I mean, did you have to do seminars, webinars, any of this
There's
stuff?
a lot of webinars. They're doing that almost every week. There's another webinar. I'm getting corporate emails, updates almost daily on what we're doing and how we're dealing with it.
Yeah.
The company is providing free testing, both for the active culture and the antibody test at multiple locations, and it's just a matter of going in and I want to go ahead and get tested just in case. And so all that's going on. It's kind of a big thing.
Do you feel like it changed the culture of the airline employees as far as their attitude towards flyers, travelers, with the mask?
Extent,
with all these different things and the mandates and the guidelines?
Yeah, to some extent, yes. They've got the rules now that the pilots have to wear the mask. It's all employees anyway, moving through the airport, interacting with customers on the airplane. Now, when we close the cockpit door, it becomes our option, our choice there. But anytime interacting with passengers or in view in the public in uniform, we're required to wear that mask.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that. I mean, we travel, obviously, being Liberty Township this weekend. Come see us. Yeah, come on. But the other day I flew United, which I rarely do. Nothing against United, but the flight attendant, she said, we could do this the hard way or we could do this the easy way. Because I had taken my mask down to talk to her. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't happy about that. But I mean, that's just a natural thing to get that out of my way. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even realizing that I was doing it. And it wasn't a mask. It was like a scarf, bandana type thing. And I just pulled it down.
So she
was pissed.
When we were going onto the plane. Yeah. Because she said something to you about, the lady at the ticket thing said something to you about putting your mask up. Okay. Well, I'm behind you, so I thought she said she needed to see your face. So I walked up to her and pulled my mask down. And she said, no, put your mask up.
I thought that's what she was saying, too. That's why I pulled my mask down. Because I was like, why do you need to see my face to get – this isn't TSA.
Yeah.
So I was like – I was confused. And I was wearing, again, the bandana, and I just kind of pulled it down. And I was like, you don't need to see my face. And so I put it back up, and then you did the same thing.
It's like, oops. They freak out though. They're just like, and what I've noticed is they have they're aggressive with the mask.
The religion of safetyism.
Yeah.
Safetyism. They worship everybody. Now I'm not talking about flight attendants. Everybody worships safety these days.
It's almost kind of like that, kid in school that gets to be the hall monitor. All of a sudden, I've got the power.
Well, that's what's going on with these mayors and governors. That's for sure. But it's funny. I mean, you remember when we were growing up, man? You'd ride in that Pontiac, man, with a metal dashboard, and you'd sit on the buddy seat in the middle and lay up in the windshield in the back.
I think until I was about 4 or 5, I still stood up in the front seat, right behind my mom or dad's shoulder. Right here, you'd stand up in the middle of the seat, just stand there and ride down the road.
Yeah, I mean, you crashed, you went through the windshield, you died. That was it. Boom, there you go. You know what? They could have more babies.
Yeah,
that's the deal. They ride the same way. There were no car seats when we were growing up.
Cut seat belts out of the car.
Yeah, like
they get away.
You got that little thing. You used to be able to hit the button a few different times and make the dinging turn off on your seatbelt alarm. And the whole thing, I mean, it's just insanity. And yes, I know we've had safety advances and stuff like that, but give me a break, man. I mean, at this point in time, the cars have so many airbags in them. If it's just poof, you're just going to be like a Stay Puffed in there, just poof. It comes out from the sides and the back of your head and the whole thing. I mean, somebody rear-ended us on the interstate in the Mercedes, and good God, man, stuff started coming from everywhere. It's like, and then some voice came on the line. Are you all right? I'm like, I've been drinking. No, I'm great. I've been boozing it up. But no, seriously, we worship safety now. That's the whole thing. I mean, forget the mortal fear that can come from flying in a pressurized metal tube at 35,000 feet in the sky. Which doesn't really exist, flight.
Yeah.
But imagine. But what we're worried about is the germs in the recirculated air in the said pressurized tube.
But see, now we get a review before the flight takes off that lets us know that it goes through a HEPA filter. And all this kind of stuff. So you got a
HEPA
or whatever it's called. Is it HEPA or HIPAA? I was going to say
no,
HIPAA.
HIPAA is something else.
Okay, but now we're getting all these lists, and that's designed for one thing, not for your safety, but to make how you feel.
Yeah,
and so
that's right. It's all about how you feel. Well, I tell you what, I don't feel good with a mask on my face.
I don't either
when I'm in a tube
or
anywhere.
I would feel a whole lot better without one.
Yeah.
If Biden becomes president, you guys, everything's going to be saved. He's going to cure Corona. Well, yeah, and that's how he's going to cure Corona. And then Cardi Free is going to be the leader of the World Health Organization, and she's going to make everything free health care. So if you get it, you're good.
100%.
Everything's going to be free, and everybody's going to be healed.
So you make a very good point, because you want to talk about free health care and Medicare for all and things like that. Well, this coronavirus thing, you push this, and you're like, oh, well, people, they need their health care. It just exacerbates the whole debate.
No question.
With this whole thing.
But if they're going to make it free, it should be free for everybody, not just...
Well, here's the problem.
I don't know where they get the money. Doctors don't need to get paid. That's what they're,
Yeah. I mean, but that's the whole thing is it ain't free.
I know.
But that's why I say, everybody, if you don't make $125,000 a year... then, it's going to be free.
Why isn't Cardi B financing some people?
Well, I mean, I don't think she heard that part whenever Joe Biden told her.
No,
she wasn't paying attention, because what he said was, she said, I want health care for free. My fans want it for free. And he goes, well, if you make less than $125,000, well, Cardi B makes far more than $125,000 a year. Yeah. So it ain't free for you, Cardi B. You still have to pay for it.
Unless
and
socialism
that's exactly
kicks in.
What Joe said to her.
But socialism kicks in. Nobody's making $125,000 anymore.
Yeah, we're all eating out of the garbage trucks.
That's right. Everything's free.
Oh, man. So, but see, that's the thing. We've lost any idea of critical thinking anymore.
That's right.
I'd rather go up to South Lake and eat out of their garbage, though, because, I mean...
Yeah,
it's a little bit better garbage in South Lake than Johnson County.
It is a finer level of garbage. It really is.
No,
it is
stank.
Up in the Slake. It is a new class of garbage up there. It really is. I'm gonna have to move up to South Lake, man. I need to take on airs like you.
Listen,
Big
Slake's
time.
got its own problems as well. I can promise you that.
Well, I know. Cartel killed that dude right there in the city square a couple years
He
ago.
sure did.
That lawyer, they smoked him right there in his car
Yeah,
in the Slake.
right.
Cartel, long arm of the cartel, baby.
That's
Justice.
also where Bonnie and Clyde killed the 2 officers.
Bonnie and Clyde have been everywhere.
Right.
Like
That's
every
true.
little town you go to, Bonnie and Clyde shot that building.
That's true.
Yep, that-
They killed the 2 police officers. It was then South Lake was actually Grapevine.
It was great.
You think there was a copycat Bonnie and Clyde?
Man, I ain't got time for you. I have not got time.
Did they really do it all?
Candace will tell you. Candace will be researching that crap laying in the bed tonight.
Yeah.
She'll be reading up on it.
There
Bonnie
might
and
have been
Clyde.
another couple out there
Susan
doing
and
some
Michael.
bank robbers
Yeah.
and just let them get the rap for it.
Yeah. Safetyism, man. See, I worry more about somebody coming in a store while I'm in there, getting my milk than I do coronavirus. But notice something, and I'm just going to leave y'all with this before we go to break. There's been no mass shootings. Nothing. There's been no mass shootings at all, at least in the news, during all of this coronavirus stuff. And you start to look at these things and you start to connect the dots, and it's very, very weird.
Well, there's no big gatherings. Their schools are closed. There's no place to have a mass shooting.
But there are places, and you know that. I mean, good God, Home Depot ain't shut down.
And no.
I promise you, man, they're packed.
Hey, and our Home Depot down here, everybody in there's packing a gun too. So that's not an ideal
That's
place
true.
to go shoot up. So
Typically, no, but you would think. Now
now
God
Chicago
forbid,
has
and
mass
God
shootings
forbid-
every weekend.
Yeah, that's cousins though. That's
Yeah.
that's different. That's a whole different thing going on up there, man. That's cousins. Somebody said something about. Yeah, we'll be right back. Is it true that there's never been a crash that was caused by turbulence?
I'm not entirely certain about that.
But turbulence is in an airplane. I mean, that's a fairly common.
Yeah,
thing.
if you fly through the wrong spot, you can hit it. A lot of it we can see coming. I mean, turbulence is always associated with something, whether it's the edge of the jet stream or a thunderstorm or something like that. You can usually identify areas where it's going to be, or you can expect it. They actually have apps now that I have on my work iPad that will tell me where turbulence is,
No
project it, and we can make some moves to avoid it.
Can I get that? Or do you have to have a?
I think it's a paid app. It's on. It works on an iPad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to
But-
text and drive, but text and fly. Roll with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I've been on some pretty rough flights in my time. Sometimes the roughest was going over the Sahara Desert in Africa for some reason. I just flying down to Nigeria or Cote d'Ivoire or something, coming from Paris or London. Really bad. And you feel like you drop like 500 feet in some cases, but you don't, right? I mean, at least that's what I've read. It just feels that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a reasonably manageable thing. Because I know that's like the number one fear of people is when the turbulence hits. They're like, oh, God, here we go.
I just tell them Disney charges extra for the bumpier rides.
Yeah.
Sean, Delta, the bumps are free. You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
Free?
Like sitting it's so bumpy, it's like sitting in a bathtub lined with sandpaper. It's just, yeah, it's rough.
That's a bit rough, yeah.
But what are the chances of, I've always been fascinated by some of this stuff. It's a great book out there. It's called Cockpit Confidential. And what are the chances of honestly planes colliding in air? I mean, they're coming, right? The radar's there.
Yeah. It used to be, we always had it was kind of like in the wartime, the fighter pilots. We used to say big sky, little bullet. That is, they're shooting a bullet up there. Chances of running into that or getting hit by it pretty dadgum small. With the increases in accuracy of navigation, it has actually made pilots a little more wary of things like that. Flying across the Atlantic, the we'll call it the highway in the sky if you want. It's 4 miles wide. It varies with what part of the world you're in, 4 to 5 miles wide. And so people would be in different parts of that. And it was, as long as you were within that, you were considered accurate navigation. Nowadays, with all the aircraft having GPS, and by the way, I was talking, that was just in the 90s.
Yeah.
With GPS now, the aircraft line up, and you can actually at night, you can see the tail lights out ahead of you up maybe 20, 30 miles, and it's like, there's the one, there's that one, there's that one. And they all line up almost exactly, which has made guys a lot more wary because now if you're on the correct altitude, because you're deconflicting by altitude. And so as long as you're not on the same altitude, you're fine. But now, it used to be if you were on same altitude, well, you still might miss each other because of just that 4 mile wide path you're in. Now everybody's on the dead center. And so we're really paying a lot more attention to that.
So that was my question: is how often are they flying at the same altitude? And it sounds like it
has never happened in my experience.
Yeah.
We're pretty serious about that and pay a lot of attention. Now also we have systems that actually detect aircraft within 40 miles, and it will tell us if we're on a conflicting path. And actually, it's really amazing. It's called a TCAS, Terminal Collision Avoidance System. The two aircraft will talk to each other, deconflict, and if there's a conflict, it'll tell one to go down and the other one to go up. It'll give you opposite instructions to avoid each other.
That's like the old joke. Oh gosh, what's his name? But he was so funny. He said his comedy bit. He was talking about. He said, you're cleared for landing westbound on runway 4, and then the other plane said we're requesting, you're cleared for landing eastbound on runway 4, and he comes in and says, did you just tell him that he can land eastbound, and you told me that that I can land westbound, and we're both on runway 4? He's like, yeah, y'all be careful now.
I want to know how often do you actually look out the windshield when you're flying?
Quite a bit. The radar won't always show you weather, thunderstorms, things like that. You see them by looking out.
Okay. Yeah. But there's been plenty of cases of like planes being struck by lightning and that being catastrophic.
I've been struck by lightning twice in my career, and it's never been a big deal.
Yeah.
It does
Scare
tend to do some little pinhole damage
now
on the outside of the plane. Yeah.
God rest his soul.
It wasn't the lightning. He shit himself to death. He had a heart attack. First he said it, then he did it. But no, that's fascinating to me. And you take a situation like what happened in Lexington, Kentucky years ago, where that pilot was on the wrong runway.
Yes.
And he ran off the end of the thing and killed everybody on board. I mean, that's just pure pilot error, right?
He was
or
just
was that the tower?
No, that was pilot error. He thought he was on, I think it was like an 8,000-foot runway. He was actually on like a 4,000-foot runway. He did not have the room to make the takeoff.
I mean, that's happened on the interstate. I thought I was on one, and I
knew I had room to get in front of that truck. Yeah.
Taxiways can be confusing. People have made that type of mistake. They really work hard on avoiding that.
I hope so.
It's a goal.
You know that guy that cuts across 5 lanes to get to the exit that he almost missed?
Yeah.
He could have just missed it. I
had a flight attendant we were sitting there on the tarmac. She's like, got to stay buckled. I was sitting in first class. I was right there in the front row. And she was telling me about they were on a plane, but something happened. The wind hit it. One of the trucks hit it. And it tipped it over on its side on the wing like that.
Seatbelt would help right then.
I guess.
Can you put the people to sleep for? Is that an urban legend? No, I'm serious. I've heard that they can lower the pressure in the cabin.
Stop talking.
I'm serious.
We know.
Sleeping gas.
Oh, I heard you could lower it and then make everybody go to sleep.
The oxygen system is automatic, and it goes off of the altitude of the cabin. And so those masks would drop. We couldn't stop that. And people would pull that down. And
there was, I know what she's talking about. Yeah. It was called the Ghost Flight or something.
Something like that.
And they ended up crashing in a mountain, but they believed that everybody passed out and went to sleep.
Well, that's what happened with Payne Stewart on the private jet.
Yes.
Whenever I mean they lost pressure
Yep.
in the thing and
Everybody
it knocked
passed
everybody out. Subsequently killed them.
Exactly, because I think they just kept flying until it ran out of gas.
They just kept
and
flying
crashed.
until it ran out of
That
fuel.
might be the way to go if you're going to crash. Just put everybody to sleep.
It is a very peaceful way to go, and you don't realize it's happening. You get hypoxic, it's low oxygen in the brain. When you're going to be a pilot, they train you to look for the symptoms, to see that coming on, because it's very, very subtle. Most people wouldn't realize it.
Yeah.
And what it is you're still awake, but you're not fully attentive. You kind of join Joe. You're just not there.
Wow. It's like a Monday morning before you've had coffee. Yeah. It's kind of
You join Joe.
Wow.
You start drifting, and you're not paying attention to things you should be paying attention to. If there's a warning, you see it, but you don't. It doesn't register. That's the beginning of hypoxia.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the retirement.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you very much.
I always love it whenever I'm on Twitter and somebody starts to be a smart ass to me, and here comes K-Dub on there, and I'm like, all right, y'all gonna get you some here. You know, oh boy, there's an MIT grad. He knows a thing or two.
A little bit.
So I always appreciate the support I get from Kevin Wade online because he don't mess around. Y'all hang tight. We will be right back. We are going to be in Liberty Township, Ohio, this weekend. So come check us out there Friday and Saturday night. That's the Funny Bone.
Funny Bone.
Funny Bone. I always hesitate when I say it because I second guess whether it's a improv or a Comedy Zone or a Funny Bone or whatever because they're all competitors. But Funny Bone. It's a nice place, too. It's a nice I got in trouble last time because this lady, she said, I brought my family and all you did was tell penis jokes. Like, well, listen, if it were just left to me, we would do that. But I've never just done that.
No, I mean, you did colonoscopy jokes. You've done anything bodily function kind
bodily
of jokes.
Functions are funny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point. And the older you get, the funnier they get.
Yeah, because they're uncontrollable.
Andrew gave me a joke about spraining your thumb, wiping your butt. And I said it last night on stage. It worked out pretty good. Yeah. There were a couple of things that I tried out last night that were somewhat crude. They weren't vulgar, but they were
How could
crude.
people not expect that from you? That doesn't, when you said people say you're better than that, you're like, no, I'm not.
No, that's the funniest thing is people are like, you're better than that. And I'm like, I wish that I was, but I'm really not.
Your perception of me is better than that.
Yeah, your perception of me is way better than I really am. I don't have a lot of filter, and I'm silly, right? I can get silly, and I don't necessarily like that about myself, but it is a reality. But it helps me. It helps me in my career.
But you do that on and off the stage, so sometimes it's annoying, but.
No,
I deal with it.
It's why you have so many fans, as evidence what we saw this past weekend. It's everybody that showed up.
They're so gracious, and they come out and they support, and it's a fun thing. We're gonna do that. Then we're gonna be in New Braunfels. We got shows coming up in Omaha, Nebraska, Kansas City. We've got Tennessee. We've got a ton of different shows that are coming up. And we're just having fun with them. And you're going to see Andrew out on the road with us from time to time, doing some opening stuff. And always appreciate his funny. And I always love it when he gives me like talking about the penis joke. I've got the thing about the nurse saying on the vasectomy, we're going to have to tape it to your stomach. And he said, not unless you remove it first.
That's funny.
That's a good one. That's a good one, so I got to remember that. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Go to watchchad.com is where the fun stuff is. BlazeTV.com. Subscribe. We love you. God bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Bye.